Some presidents are just so wicked in Africa. I just want you guys to see the amount of money that was found in Ali Bongo's house, the president of Gabon that was just recently overthrown by the military. Just see.
Du patrimoine de l'État, entre autres. Dans l'un des bureaux stratégiques du chargé de mission de la première dame Kim Woo, des comptines d'argent, difficiles à justifier pour le détenteur. Ngolo, directeur de cabinet de Nourdine Bongo Valentin, figure lui aussi au nombre des arrestations du jour, avec en sa possession plus de 4 milliards de francs CFA, plusieurs biens matériels, immobiliers et des parkings à couper le souffle.
Oui, c'est retrouvé chez moi, oui.
Quelle est l'origine de cela?
C'est des fonds de campagne.
Des fonds de campagne. Oui. Et combien?
Je ne sais pas. Je ne sais pas s'ils ont dû compter, je ne sais pas.
Une estimation?
Je saurais vous dire. Je saurais vous dire, c'est les valises. Comme ça, je ne sais pas combien de valises contient, donc je ne peux pas vous dire. Je ne sais pas.
Ça a été retrouvé dans quelle pièce?
Dans le char, c'était dans le salon. Dans la pièce, au milieu.
Est-ce que vous êtes banque pour justifier? Vous êtes une banque pour justifier ou pas?
Non, non. Enfin, je ne vais pas rentrer là. Si je comptais, c'est pas... non. Bon, faut dire que même l'origine du comptais... Bon,
le comité pour la transition et la restauration des institutions dit vouloir redonner au Gabon ses lettres de noblesse, restaurer la cohésion sociale et ramener l'espoir dans le pays tout en le construisant.
La situation vraiment est catastrophique. C'est lamentable ce que nous...
Now see the kind of money when some people will just hide from inside house, but sit down and be looking at their citizens suffering. See the amount of money. That is why they want to remain in power. I know this is just but few of the cash that they have found. This one are the one with they hustle. What about other cash that are kept in the Western world, or some in underground, or some in other locations that have not yet been located? Just look at. This is a country that have been in total abject poverty. So President, they're heartless. This is not all. I want you guys to watch these particular videos of Arise TV News on how this lady analyzed the whole issues and why there are many coups in Africa, particularly this one of Gabon. We'll be right back to do some CGC.
And that is exactly where President Bongo made a mistake. I disagree totally with that. The family has run the country for 55 years. That's unacceptable. Changing the constitution is unacceptable. So yes, that blame should fall squarely on his lap. He dug his own grave. He never should have done it. But again, I'm simply saying, let's assess the situation for its totality. So we are not spoon-fed into taking one position. For example, right now, you're already quick to turn France loose. I'm not ready to do that yet. But President Bongo should never have changed the constitution. And oh yeah, really, I think it's almost to the point of embarrassing that one family, one dynasty could run the country for 55 years. It's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. There is no excuse about that. Again, we have to look at each situation very differently. And for the most part, again, I want to go back to the common denominator when it comes to elections in Africa. Why is it that Africans are not allowed to hold their elections without the influence of the Western world? That's where the problem begins, where it doesn't matter, like I said at the beginning, no matter how good a leader is, the Western world is always going to support the opposition. And if you follow the history, let's say the opposition happens to win, the Western world will still support whoever is opposition. So I want the Africans to understand that we are under siege, and a lot of times we are supported to do things, to behave in a way that is detrimental to the overall well-being of the people. Infiltration of the African opposition parties by those who wish to see us harmed becomes a big problem, where now you don't know which one is the chicken and which one is the egg, because the infiltration is heavy. It's coming from people who are well-funded, and our people at times are not stopping to think enough to say, why am I moving in the direction that I'm doing? I'm moving in. Why am I allowing others from outside to influence my thinking? And that is why it is a common denominator that every African election, opposition is always going to cry foul. It's okay to cry foul, but let's follow the process. Let's make sure that everybody's voice is heard. Where we run into a problem is Western money being used to influence the decision-making processes of the opposition. Why is it that the Western world never comes in with an even hand? If you're going to support both parties. Support the ruling party, support the opposition, but make sure that you don't interfere. China does not interfere. Russia does not interfere. We Africans, we do not interfere with anybody else's elections. But sadly, African elections are heavily infiltrated, are heavily supported by outside, and always supporting the opposition to create havoc. Wherein lies the problem. That's why you see the common denominator. I am going to table that interference from the Western world is the biggest challenge all African countries are running into. So as Africans, we must look at every election individually. Take the time to understand the leadership. Understand Chamisa in Zimbabwe. Who is he? What does he stand for? And what does he plan to do for Zimbabwe? Be objective in your analysis of the people. Don't just jump onto the bandwagon and just follow the general trends. Oh, African leadership. No, we have some very good leaders who are leading their countries well in Africa. Let's not paint every African leader with one brush. Let's not paint every electoral process with one brush. Now that you're talking about Zimbabwe, I told you on a personal level, and these are my personal opinions, where the opposition lost me. Supporting sanctions against Zimbabwe is a big thing to me because I know what sanctions are doing to Zimbabwe. And for any leader who's going to stand up and visit the Western world and encourage them to continue sanctions against Zimbabwe, that person does not deserve my vote, and I have no respect for that particular leader. I'm going to say, then let's go on to Gabon. Gabon is another situation. Let's not be quick to jump into it. Just because the junta have taken power doesn't necessarily make it look similar to what's happening in Niger. When we look at what's happening in Gabon, and again, that's my personal assessment, this is a coup that's taking place soon after the elections. You want to look and evaluate the positions of the opposition. What are the positions? Who is the leader of the opposition? Not the junta, but rather the opposition party that was running against the deposed president, Bongo. What was his position? Who was supporting him? And the junta, are they in line with opposition, or are they going to be a neutral party? All those issues need to be addressed and looked at very carefully and be analyzed. Why? At the same time, we're still running into the invisible hand that is always at play when it comes to African elections, which makes it very difficult for the African electorate to be able to say what is true, what is fact, what is real, and where are the lies, and where is the truth in the middle of all that. But if we are aware that there are outside forces that are constantly trying to topple us, create chaos, and keep us forever chasing our tails, it'll be easier for us to then say, you know, the situation in Gabon, let's step back for a little bit. Let's understand, how do we know that France, realizing that the sentiment that's coming out of Niger, maybe they're re-strategizing? Is it possible that they could have been supporting both the government as well as the opposition? And then now the junta could get mixed up in all that? I really think the situation in Gabon is still fresh, is still fluid. We need to take some time to really understand it and unbundle it and understand who is who, what do they stand for. But above all, let's make sure that the people who are coming to power, they are not being used as instruments of our own self-destruction. So let's take some time and analyze the situation in Gabon truthfully and make sure that we, at the end of the day, we have an African solution to African problems. Once again, I'm calling on our elders to regroup, to come to Gabon and talk to our children, talk to our leaders, so they really understand the issues. Let's look at President Bongo. Let's look at the military leader. Let's look at the opposition. Let's understand all the functions. And so it is important that we understand what is really going on. For now, everybody step back, take a look at what's going on. Let's understand it before we run into rash judgment. Well, thank you very much for bringing that very important subject of our beloved country of Zimbabwe. Let me start by saying Zimbabwe is a very special country. Special country in the sense that when you look at our history and how we attained our independence, it was independence that was attained through blood loss of thousands of young people who stood up after being oppressed, after living under apartheid conditions for a very long time, starting with colonization, followed by the unilateral declaration of independence by Ian Smith, which of course ushered in the apartheid. With that background, it is pretty clear that any leadership that's going to be in Zimbabwe has got to recognize how Zimbabwe got to be the Zimbabwe that we have today. Their intentions are never good. In fact, it is they that create unnecessary conditions in our countries.
All right.
So anyway, thank you guys for watching this video to this very moment. Until we meet again, please stay tuned. There are a lot of videos coming on this platform. If you have not subscribed, please do. If you do, turn on your notification bell so that you wouldn't miss out any of our official upposts. Until we meet again, stay tuned, Plan B TV. We love you. Remember, God love you more. Peace out.
Don't forget to subscribe to get notified. And I see the show you support. Now say God bless you too.
Dance on the beat.
Plan B TV. Plan B TV. Plan B TV. Oh. Plan B TV. Plan B TV. Plan B TV. Plan B TV.